Hey guys, Average Joe here, and I am back with a 1090 install process for the Average Joe disc fix kit. I know that I've also done a 552 installation video, and they're the same. This installation is going to be the same, but I had requests from folks who are buying the 1090 upgrade to do an actual video with a 1090. So even though this is going to be the same for you, but I'm going to go through a 1090 anyways, and that way, if you prefer to watch this one, you can watch this video. So same as always, we start with the dumbbell. Now this one's been upgraded halfway already, but we're going to do the other side. So you start with making sure that you loosen the nuts on the ends of your dumbbell, and for that you're going to need to fit the correct sockets. I usually start with a 19 millimeter, and this usually works, but because they source their nuts from different manufacturers, different suppliers, it may differ slightly from 19 millimeters. So find the proper fitting socket, one on each ratchet, 2 ratchets. Make sure that you're set to take off the nuts. Put one on each end and loosen the nuts. Hold one end of your dumbbell, whichever end you want. Tip it up and you will see the nut is mostly off. Let me just readjust this camera here so that we can easily see. Okay, so we have the nut off. I'm going to unscrew it the rest of the way. Take this off. Sometimes this will stay attached, sometimes it'll fall off, but take your discs off. And by the way, for all of you that are buying these upgrades, if you have unbroken discs, many of these will be already cracked, but if you have unbroken discs, you can sell these. You can make, depending on the disc, you can make anywhere between as little as $16, but nowadays it's about $18, on up to $40 a disc, but let's say $18 per disc. You can sell all your unbroken discs on eBay to someone who isn't going to do this upgrade, who for whatever reason doesn't want to use the permanent fix, and they might be interested in buying 1 or 2 of these discs. So sell them on eBay and you will recover most, if not all, of your costs on the upgrade, because it's actually less expensive to buy 16 of these than it is to buy 16 of your OEM discs, despite the fact that these will last a lifetime and these will not. So anyway, you've taken your discs off. Now you can take your assembly off, your crossbar assembly. I hold it with my fingers, or I tape it as I've shown in previous videos, and I put that aside. Let me try to adjust this so that you can see more of the table here. Then take the handle off, same thing, squeeze. Take crossbar assembly off. Careful, you don't want the ball bearings and springs to get loose. You can look in my troubleshooting video if that happens, and you'll understand how to put that back together again. Slide off your, let's say it's your OEM discs, and then once you've got the clear bar like this, grab your replacement discs. Disc A, in this case it's called 91A1. This is a 1090 set. Disc A is always closest to the selector dial. Disc D is always closest to the crossbar assembly. Slide it on, rotate it until it drops down and clicks into place fully seated. Here, look at the long slot. Look for the long slot here. You want to orient them. I'm squeezing this, by the way, until fully seated. Then grab your handle, drop it in, turn it until it is fully seated. You can hear that click. Listen again, watch this here. Boom, it's seated. Then take your other crossbar assembly. This one has already been upgraded with the locking pins. And slide this down, click it into place, and notice here that these bars are lined up together, okay? So take your other disc pack. Disc D is closest to this plate. A is closest to the selector dial. So this is going to go on this way. And long slot, long slot. Boom, clicks into place. Now I'm going to bring this back this way so you can see. On this, you should have you may have one or more washers, but you should have your washer, metal and nylon, and your nut. What I do is I just drop this all right in to the disc. Long slot here, long slot there. Put them in place. Now, just like with the 552, I want to get this started on the shaft. You can see the shaft isn't high enough. It's not pushed up enough for this nut to get on there. So you reach your hand underneath, tilt this just a little bit to the side, not too much, and push with your fingers to push the shaft up through like that. Now you can get your nut started on it, and you want to get to a point where it's hand snug. Now you can also use your ratchet. I hold with my hand and I just make it snug. Okay, you're not trying to over tighten this assembly. You can watch my troubleshooting video to understand why it's not. It's important that you don't over tighten. Once it is snug and I make sure that everything is seated from one end to the other, these are all seated properly into each other. So I'm looking, everything looks good. Now I grab my two ratchets, put them on each end, and I don't want to go more than a half a turn. So I'm going to take this like this and go 1/2 turn. That's enough. You don't need to go further than a half turn past snug. The assembly will be plenty tight enough. So that's it. You know, this is fully assembled. You can put your plastic caps back on the ends here. If you had the adhesive ones, they'll just kind of stick right here on the end cap on the selector dial. But that's it. Now you can test the assembly. You know, make sure these are set on 10. If you have a 552, you want to make sure these are set on 5. Otherwise, you won't be able to slip this down into the dumbbell base. But you can test this by depressing the button with your finger and making sure that the dial rotates. It's a little bit challenging to get my finger in here. If you can use a flathead screwdriver or something, you basically want to just depress that button in all the way and then turn your dial. Unfortunately, when I stick my finger in here, it catches on these tabs and I have a problem. I can't rotate past my thumb. So, but that's how you check the rotation of the dial once you've assembled it. And that's it. You now have your fully upgraded and assembled dumbbell that you can put into the base and make sure that the dials rotate properly, make sure that it's not too tight, make sure that you can cycle through in both directions. You want to spin the dial on the base in both directions, and that each weight setting picks up the plates that it's supposed to pick up. That's it. That is the upgrade for the 1090 dumbbell. And if you have any questions about it, let me know. It's best if you email the questions to me, because I do not have an opportunity to check YouTube questions very much, maybe once every week or two. But you can email the questions to me, and I'll try to get to them within 2-3 days. Yeah, that's. If you have any questions, let me know. And thank you for watching. And in an upcoming video, I will go over the locking pin upgrades and talk more about those.